Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Beatings in Space. My name is Umbaglo, and with me today is...
Megalomaniac. Hello, Internet.
Good day. So, last time we did the first mission for Mobile Suit Gundam, and chronologically from that is the second episode, where they actually, skip a whole bunch of stuff between the first one and here.
Yeah, it's jumping from, episode 2 or 3-ish to, 10?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, pretty much. The second half of the first mission of Mobile Suit Gundam is, I believe, the second episode.
Yeah.
And then, they just skip everything about the white base getting to the base on the moon, and then actually getting orders, and now they're heading to Earth.
Yeah, there's a whole thing where it's Luna 2. Actually, it's not the moon; it's an asteroid base.
Right.
But there's this whole thing where the military's like, "Why are you guys doing this?
Where
what's left?
Why are all these kids and civilians on our top secret prototype battleship?"
Yeah, and I also remember them, at least in the TV show, getting a actual military officer who's kind of a hard ass overseeing everything, who proceeds to, in traditional fashion, screw up everything.
If that is the guy, he shows up momentarily.
Yeah.
But after the last episode, when I looked up some stuff just to double check, Paolo survives until they get to Luna 2, where he makes the plea to the Earth Federation, the Earth Federation people to let Bright and his new crew
handle things.
Yeah, handle things, and then that's when he dies.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit off. This is actually only episode 6.
Okay, that progression still works out.
Yeah.
This guy is probably who you're talking about.
Yeah, Reed.
The way he is bandaged up made me think that he was another survivor, but I don't remember this guy at all, and it made me wonder whether he was a movie character.
I only remember him because he was voiced by Scott McNeil in the dub. And I'm a fan of anybody voiced by Scott McNeil.
Yeah, so the white base is currently en route to the Earth Federation base in Jaburo. Mm-hmm. But they're basically doing this to be a decoy to the Federation, to the Zeon forces, while the Federation scrambles to try and finish up their mobile suits.
Yeah, they eventually basically gave all these people, hey, look at this high-tech stuff, now go over there.
Yeah. It's when you look at the extended 1 Year War stuff, the the rationale that is given to the white base crew and what they're supposed to be doing is so silly, because around this time the Federation does have working GMs, when theoretically the Gundam needs to get to Jaburo to drop off the learning computer data so they can make the GMs.
Yeah, but that's, a retcon later to justify 8th MS team and many, many other side stories.
Yeah. It's goofy because the stuff leading up to the 1 Year War has pretty realistic development schedules for a lot of the technology, and then the 1 Year War has absolutely unrealistic development schedules.
I mean, yes, but also I see it. I mean, yeah, a year is kind of crazy, but I'm also thinking back to World War II where, both sides would just throw any weird idea they had at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I take it back. Reed, he didn't join at Luna 2. They picked him up when they re-entered Earth. Or the atmosphere.
Okay. That probably explains why he's injured then.
Yeah. But he's kind of the same rank as Bright, I guess. or slightly outranks Bright, so I know there was some headbutting there, but I don't think that's going to come through in this game.
Probably does, because I think at this point, like, Bright starts as an ensign, which means he technically has no real rank.
Yeah.
And he just basically has a field promotion to take command of the ship. Because, like, it's not like there was anyone better who could do it.
Nope. Unfortunately, this game does not have Beecha, the best captain ever. Or this series, I should say. Beecha actually is in the game.
Yeah, he shows up much later on. Yeah.
Double Zeta is a fun show.
Double Zeta is a weird show.
We'll get there.
We will get there. That is well into the future, but yeah, Double Zeta is a weird show.
Yeah. But this episode introduces the first of the zombies that the white base is going to face, and that is Garma, the youngest.
Which also, like, sort of goes into how ranks in this show is also, like, super weird, because he is a captain, and yet he is also the supreme commander of the Earth invasion.
Nepotism.
Yeah. Like, even if we assume that is a naval rank and not a land rank, that's still not quite high enough to be the supreme commander of the invasion.
Nepotism.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. The zombies run Xeon, so, you know.
And to be fair, the other zombies are actually skilled commanders.
Yeah.
Garma, he's not bad, but he's not supreme commander. Okay, so yeah, I guess this guy is in charge at this point. That familiar
or at
trope.
least he is acting like he is in charge. And this is probably at a point where Bright is just willing to let it go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're at the point where Amuro's being a whiny bitch.
So...
Not without reason, but...
Yeah, like... I remember seeing these, like... When I played through this bit, I had flashbacks back to when I saw the show and seeing this bit and thinking it was just like... This is kind of a weird, like, set of events to be happening. Like, at the time I didn't quite realize what they were trying to like, say and talk about. And now, like, kind of having a broader understanding of sort of like the effects of combat and stress on people, the scene takes a much different tone.
Yeah, because you have been in the military. Like, when you first saw this, I'm assuming this was before you were in the military, or
at least like not like as much.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, basically this is a scene or a phase where Amuro is suffering from some medium to like light severe PTSD from being thrust into these life and death situations all of a sudden. Almost literally right before this scene, Amuro nearly died descending from orbit. And the only thing that saved him was the fact that the Gundam can surf through atmospheric re-entry. And like, he had no idea that it was going to work. Like, he just had to do it because there was no option. Like, he couldn't get back onto the ship, so he just had to hope and pray that this was going to work.
Which is a repeated Gundam trope. You'll see anytime something re-enters the atmosphere, there's this bit where it's like, it can do that?
Yeah. Hey, to be fair, stuff re-entering atmosphere is still kind of iffy these days.
Oh yeah, no, I know. It's
and like, Gundam never
it's
really
realistic.
Gundam never really makes re-entry like an easy thing. It always seems like it is like everything that re-enters is just on the cusp of failing.
Because also half the time when they're re-entering the atmosphere, they're actually being shot at. And
yeah.
That's not something that happens in real life.
Yeah.
yet, and hopefully never.
So, yeah, so at the beginning of this stage, the white base has just been pushed out of their re-entry trajectory down into the middle of Xeon terrain, right into the middle of where Garma just happened to be, conveniently. And now they gotta fight through this Xeon ambush to try and get to the ocean so that they can escape and get to Jaburo.
Yes. Jaburo being in South America. This being... I'm not quite sure.
I think it's supposed to be somewhere like southwestern U.S. I'm not sure. I actually can't remember if they like specifically say where this is. Like the next thing that we do, they actually talk about exactly where they are.
Yeah.
Although, like, if we're talking about like the main body of the Xeonic invasion, this is probably somewhere in the United States.
Yeah, it's weird when stuff happens in this show, because, like, I know at one point they're in a city called New York, with an A, which is pretty much supposed to be New York. But then later on, there's a big battle called Odessa, which happens in, like, Eastern Europe. And then there's an arc where they're in Ireland, and this is all before they go to South America. So I'm not sure what kind of course they're taking.
It's just meandering. It's okay.
Probably.
Alright, yeah.
I mean, also, to be fair, the other places could have been part of the whole, you know, go be a distraction until...
Yeah.
You know, until we're ready for you.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, right now, because Amuro is having a moment, everyone else is deploying without him and the Gundam. So for this run, this is the first time we get to see the gun tank and the gun cannon, which are themselves kind of prototypes that led to the Gundam. The gun tank is kind of like a mod of some tanks that the EF had already made to sort of like test the idea of a mobile suit. The gun cannon was like kind of the first, like the next step from that, and then from there you get the GMs and the Gundam itself.
Mm-hmm. You also have the Core Fighter, which is a remnant of the fact that this is made in the heyday of super robots, where literally this fighter will fold up into a block, and any of the three, you know, Gundam, gun tank, gun cannon will like dock between it, like the legs and the torso will fold on top of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they, much like how this is like on the quote unquote real robot side, where stuff is more sensible, or at least more practical. The reasoning for it is because these are prototype devices. If something bad were to happen, then the core fighter can eject and keep all the data.
Mm-hmm. And also allow them to escape.
Yeah, and also allow the pilot to escape. What ends up being kind of a neat thing, though, is because the stuff can dock, because it's tops and bottoms, there is some mixing and matching that does actually end up happening in the show, which is usually not really represented in many games.
Yeah, and that was only the TV series. Once they did the movies, they're like, cut this crap out. We're telling a serious story here.
One thing I like about the gun tank, actually about the gun tank and the gun cannon, is that both of their shoulder cannons are for some weird reason flagged as anti-air weapons, which means that they do a little bit more damage to flying enemies.
Which is weird because they're basically artillery cannons.
Yeah. I should also mention that the Magella attacks, which are like Xeon's kind of typical
tanks.
Their gimmick is that their tank turrets can fly off and become an airplane, which is also pretty goofy.
Yes, it also means in this game you have to kill them twice.
Yeah. But thankfully, the Magilla tops tend to have like no HP, so almost anything will kill them.
Yeah.
That said, it's pretty funny to look at these DOPs, which are Xeon's standard atmospheric fighter, and realize that the DOPs have more HP than the Magilla attacks.
Also, there's somehow aerodynamic enough to fly. I don't know.
Yeah, that's also goofy, but whatever. It's, hey, like, the thrusting power that they can push into, like, propelling mobile suits, they can make a plane like that fly, sure.
That's true. It's also the 70s.
At least the Saberfishes look fairly aerodynamic. DOPs just look goofy.
Yeah, I'm surprised after all these years of G Generation they've yet to make a model kit of the Phoenix Gundam.
Yeah. That is actually a little weird. Like, of any Phoenix.
Yeah. Or the Tornado Gundam, that's bizarre given just, like I said, G Generation's been around since 96 or 97.
And they've made some kits of other G-Gen units.
Yeah, or of video game units. Like the Extreme Gundam from the Versus games got a couple kits.
Yeah, I actually have a kit of the Extreme Gundam just lying somewhere that eventually I need to build. The Extreme Gundam is just goofy looking because it's the one that has a guitar case as a weapon.
A guitar beam rifle, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
So yeah, this mission is split between like an air and a land phase. You technically don't need to fight any of these guys in the air side though. The air side is just the area above the ground. So if I were to have taken my carry base and just descended it immediately because I had no flying units, all of the DOPs would have eventually, well, basically on their first turn, descended down and joined the main battle. And I actually do this in the second half of the stage.
Yeah, because there's no real need to fight them on two fronts.
Yeah, the only potential problem, obviously, is if there are too many of them that you can't handle. But really, it's DOPS. It's not that big of a deal. I was pretty happy about how this was a good stage to fill up the get gauges of the guest units. Like, I very easily managed to fill up gun cannons and gun tanks get gauge and still had like half the enemy units, so that I could level up my own machines.
That's Zaku 2.
Yeah. Just leveling around the evolution trees.
As opposed to me, who just kind of broke the game.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm
broke this part, honestly, Unicorn was kind of difficult because I just started with it.
Going through chronologically is going to have like a few places where the difficulty kind of fluctuates a little weirdly. Like I kind of mentioned how the second Igloo stage was a little bit difficult for what I had at the moment. And then I went straight from Igloo 2 to Mobile Suit Gundam 1, where it was like I basically soloed the stage with the Gundam. My guys didn't even need to be there at all.
Just like the actual show.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there goes Garma's Dop.
Yeah. I actually didn't mean to...
But fear not, this is not the end of Garma Zabi.
No, he runs away to fight again. I actually didn't mean to one-shot it there, but thankfully the challenge was just to destroy just to take out Garma's DOP within like 5 turns. So it didn't really matter who shot it down. And again, like, I ended up maxing out everyone's get gauge so quickly that, like, it didn't matter. And also, like, if I hadn't have managed to max out the Gundam's get gauge, I probably could have maxed out it and the other 2 mobile suits in this stage with how many units there are.
Yeah, I should probably go back and replay this one to get the white base.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that as well.
Now one of the most famous scenes in this show.
In the franchise, to be honest.
Yep.
Like, yeah, this is something which is referenced or memed like throughout, like almost every, but throughout the rest of the franchise.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I don't know if this is the first show that did this, but it really does get across, like, this dude is not prepared for piloting a giant robot and saving everybody.
It's just, I don't know, like, knowing some of the creators' views on, like, what they were trying to present, like, I wonder if they were intending this to be, like, alright, now, like, when I came back to this scene, my problem with it became that here is a kid which is very clearly suffering from a form of PTSD, which at this, like, when this show was made, they probably didn't quite realize what it is they were dealing with. And their solution to him having this problem was to have the crew beat it out of him.
Or Bright specifically.
But at the same time, like, the rest of the crew is giving him shit and supporting Bright for doing this. And it's like, on one hand, the way they decided to present Amuro's objections did kind of make him more into a whiner and like just being very bratty about it. But also, like, if you step back and sort of see, like, it could have, like, for me, it could have just been the way that it was localized. Because, like, seeing here, like, the way it's written in this, even if it's a little bit, like, the editing could be better. But seeing the way it's put here, it definitely comes across, like, much less that he is being whiny and more that he is suffering from some kind of mental issue.
Well, and a lot of it is just due to both the culture and the time it was made.
Yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, I also, like, just from a story standpoint, I see Bright's point, because if Amuro doesn't, well, not in this game, but in the show, if Amuro doesn't get out there, they're all going to die. So he's got to do whatever he can to get Amuro's butt in gear. But yeah, it's a definite tricky thing, especially nowadays when PTSD is much, much more of a known quantity.
I can't necessarily give them a lot of shit about it because, yeah, like, the show was made in '79, and
in Japan,
and, like,
which was,
well, I'm not saying that, like, it was well known by then. Like, we were decades past the point where people were, like, where they were necessarily treating it as cowardice or shell shock. Like, they were a little bit past that on this side. But, like, it was still not known necessarily what it was. Like, it still wasn't, like,
yeah. And I think it being Japan is a thing, because, like,
mean, it probably
Helps
also
Tomino.
like the way that they handle it also went more into their culture of following orders.
Yeah, because, I mean, Tomino, obviously not old enough to have, like, served in World War II, but his parents were alive during them, and that's going to, just the way that affected their country is going to have different views than, America, which through the 50s and 60s went through the Cold War in Vietnam and all that, in Korea. Mm-hmm. And that's giving different views of what war is to what Tomino would have been doing when he was making this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Point being, there's a lot you can read into this, and probably would require more research and a much smarter person than me.
Yeah, it definitely was something that I started thinking about when I revisited it. Like, it definitely wasn't something that I really clued into when I first saw Mobile Suit Gundam, nor even like the stuff later on, which has sort of called back to that scene.
Yeah, Gundam Seed has basically this exact thing happen with its protagonist Kira Yamato having his own little outburst of PTSD.
I mean,
in fact, while they were fighting in a desert.
I mean, almost every main pilot that Bright runs into, he has had to do that too as well. For not necessarily like the same reasons. Like, some of them actually were just being, well, maybe I'd have to revisit those scenes.
Well, I'm sure the Camille ones will happen too. I remember Camille being way more into it though. Again, that's later things.
Camille was definitely running through a lot of his own personal problems throughout everything. Yeah. He was a lot more emotionally fragile through that series than a lot of other Gundam pilots. Judo, he probably just beat because Judo was an ass.
Yeah, he was. If I recall, Judo didn't take it either. Judo, tried to punch him back.
Yeah, that would be Judo, alright.
Because Judo is secretly a super robot pilot.
Secretly?
Very blatantly.
Yeah.
He might be voiced by the same guy who does Shinobu from Dankuga. Or I should say is voiced.
Yeah.
But that's getting way ahead.
That's way ahead, but his Gundam is very clearly a super robot. There are only a few Gundams more obviously super robot than the Double Zeta.
Yeah. I mean, not counting when you get into the later shows, which are just actually straight up super robots, like G Gundam.
Yeah.
Or Double O.
G is a lot of super robots. Like lower power super robots, but they're very super robot.
Now, I forget how the game goes, but I think this is the last time you see Char for a while.
Might.
By a while, in the show, it's the last time you see Char for, I want to say, well, not this, but the end of the Garma arc is the last time you see Char for 20 episodes.
Yeah, I was about to say, it would be between the end of Garma and the beginning of Jaburo, would it not?
Yeah. Yeah, so what this game doesn't show is basically after this, the White Base and Garma's forces get into another fight in the aforementioned New York, and Char kind of screws Garma over and ends up getting him killed.
Yeah, you might have
intentionally.
You might have seen Char make a comment earlier, kind of suggesting that he has got a bit of an ulterior motive for what's going on here.
Yeah. But the way that plays out is Char is seen as having failed Garma is kind of taken off the White Base pursuit bit for a while. And you still see him in the show, but he does not. It's like him in a bar drinking or something like that. Not. I don't mean like getting drunk. I mean like having a drink, like a smooth, cool guy.
Yeah. He is a cool customer.
All the ladies like Char. Unfortunately, he tends to be kind of a jerk with the women he gets involved in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. One thing as well that I've noticed about a bunch of these more like mainline, the mainline missions is once you clear the objectives, they tend to just end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I straight up finished one of the igloo stages without even getting the bonus objective. Like I finished it in like 2 turns. By accident, I should mention.
Yeah, that is actually something that is pretty common in G-Gen.
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, as a good example, in World, there was this one stage. It was like an early Wing Gundam stage, and I would just beat it. I wouldn't even do the stuff to get the the second half because it was faster. Like I was just running it to get money and XP, so there was no point in me like proccing the second half because it wasn't worth it. So I just beat the mission without doing the bonus stuff, and then just run it again, get more XP.
Yeah, that was a way to grind in the older games. This one, there's a DLC level that is just straight up for grinding if you want to.
Yeah, I haven't run
Actually, 2 of them.
I haven't run it yet. I'll check it out at some point, I'm sure. But so far, I've been pretty good at, like, other than between last episode and this episode, which I didn't do any evolving because my team basically wasn't seen. So I just decided, like, you know what, I didn't get to use any of those guys last time, so I'll just show them off this time. But like generally speaking, so far I've been able to get enough XP on my team to be able to evolve to something new, which is pretty cool. That I actually honestly like playing G-Gen in that way, like running through the stages, evolving my team to something new, filling out the production list and the gallery.
Yeah, I only started using the grinding stage when I had like assembled a group I wanted to get leveled for the end game.
Yeah.
One of which is a Dozel Zabi Zaku, which baseline kind of sucks, but I as I've mentioned, I make my characters, I create them and base them off people I know. So one of our friends, Blaine, I knew he really likes Dozel Zaku, so I gave him that. And proceeded to run that stage enough to get up to like level 70. So it's now a Murder Zaku.
Yeah, that is one thing that I like about G-Gen, is that broadly speaking, because obviously this isn't going to be the case for everyone, but broadly speaking, if you level up a unit enough, it will be useful everywhere. Obviously there are some units that's just not going to work on because they're just that bad or they have problems, but with the way the level system works, if you keep leveling them up, they'll still be on par with later technology mobile suits. Like, the benefit of the later technology mobile suits is that they have higher stats to begin with.
Yep.
And like with the range of mobile suits that's in this game, that's even easier to do because it's not like you're jumping into weird future super tech like what's happening in World and Overworld.
World, where you basically want to just have a team of nothing but 00 risers that murder everything.
I mean, I still had a varied team because I don't like having multiples of the same mobile suit.
Oh yeah, I did too, but I'm just saying if you want to ruin the game.
Yeah, but if you just wanted to ruin the game, like heck, you didn't even need a team of 00 risers. You just needed more than one because Alright, so the thing that makes 00 Riser really broken is that it has a full map, full party, 100% heal special ability. it costs a lot of energy, but energy is basically meaningless.
Yep.
So like you could totally just have a couple of them and just alternate full party heals and just like never be in any threat.
Fun times.
Yeah. I like World and Overworld were really good, but I like the way that their story progression was handled was it was in blocks that were like groups of stages based on every show that was inside of it. And like there was still like a chronological progression within that series, but it was still like you were jumping from show to show as you went from mission to mission. And I really, really like the G-Gen F style where it's you are playing through the show, you're playing through the story. I like that I like that I'm not locked to the story in Genesis like you are in F, which was absolutely a problem in F because there were some of those series that you cannot complete if you are starting from it fresh. But yeah, I just like the way Genesis runs its stages more than World and Overworld. But I also really appreciated how many and how varied the units that were in World and Overworld.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll do another one eventually, or it'll just become a mobile phone game for the rest of our lives.
I've been playing the recent phone G-Gen game, and it's kind of all right.
It's a phone game.
Yeah, it's kind of okay.
Anti-phone game.
I'm enjoying it, but it's not quite scratching the right itch, you know? It has some of the same stuff, but just like, they're not going far enough. Oh well. In any case, so that...
What's the next mission?
So the next mission that we do will be the first stage of Lost War Chronicles.
I have not done that one at all.
Yeah, I think that mission is pretty neat.
Okay.
So we'll see you all next time.
Bye, everybody.